Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into something absolutely crucial for every LangChain project, text splitters. You see, when we load a document, whether it's a PDF, a web page, or a large text file, it often contains thousands of words. But our language model, no matter how advanced it is, have context limits, meaning the sequence length limits. That means we can't just throw an entire research paper or report into the model at once. It will either truncate or lose focus. That's where TextSplitter comes in. They break down large chunks of text into smaller, more manageable pieces without losing meaning or structure. Think of these splitters as the document scissors for your data pipeline. They carefully slice your data into smaller sections called chunks based on certain rules like size, overlap, and structure. The goal is to make such the goal is to make sure each chunk fits within the model's token limits while still preserving the context for better embedding and retrieval later on. We'll start with the simplest one, character text splitter. This splitter divides text purely based on character count. You specify a chunk size, which defines how big each text piece should be, and optionally a chunk overlap, which keeps a few overlapping characters between chunks to maintain continuity. Uh, in the example that we're doing, we will use a PyPDF loader to load a PDF document. Then we'll create a character text splitter with a certain chunk size and chunk overlap. That means each chunk size will exactly contain the mentioned number of characters with no overlap between them. It's a great starting point, simple, predictable, and fast, but it doesn't consider the structure of the text. So, for example, it might split right in the middle of the sentence or paragraph. Uh, but it works fine for short or well-formed text, and it's not very ideal for natural language documents. But we're going to see it in example here. So I'm going to create a new folder. It's 10.textsplitters. And first of all, we're doing character text splitter. So character text underscore splitters .py. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to import PyPDF loader from LangChain community. Document loaders, import PyPDF loader, and then after that, I'm going to import the text splitter or the character text splitter. So that will come from LangChain. LangChain.textsplitter import character text splitter. I'm going to load my document, so it will be using PyPDF loader. My document will be DL DL curriculum dot PDF, and then I already have this document here in my folder list or in my project folder. So let me load this. So docs equals to loader dot load. So this will load the document. Now I'm going to use splitter equals to character text splitter. As I said, we'll define a chunk size for this one. Character text splitter. I'm going to define a chunk size. Chunk size will be 100. Then I'm going to be defining a chunk overlap. Chunk overlap is going to be, let's say, 10. So there will be an overlapping of 10 characters, and then the separator that I'm going to use is an empty space. Okay, so a result equals to splitter dot split documents. I'm going to provide docs here. Then I'm going to see the length of, okay, we'll first print out the result and then see the type first, and then figure out whether it's like a list or something, and then we'll print out the index and then see the content. Okay, so let's load this or run this, and we see that our document is being loaded. and then we get a type list here. So how many chunks has the document content been broken down to? Let's see the length. So it has been broken down to 183 content. So I'm going to print a result, let's say from the first index. I'm sure it will contain the metadata and then the page content. So I'll directly go to page content and then print it out. So as you can see, my page content is this one. If you want to print out everything else that you have, including the metadata, you can see that it contains the it only contains the page content as well as the metadata, like I said. And this is from page number 1. The document name is this one. It has total 23 pages and the stuff like that. So yeah, this is how CharacterTextSplitter works. Okay, now we have the recursive CharacterTextSplitter, a smarter and more context-aware splitter. Unlike the basic character splitter, this one recursively looks for natural breakpoints in the text, like new lines, paragraphs, or punctuations, before resorting to character-based calls. This helps maintain the semantic meaning of the content, which is super important when you're creating embeddings or passing data to a retriever. So in the following example, what we'll do is we'll use a short paragraph about space exploration with a certain chunk size and then a chunk overlap. What it will do is it will intelligently divide the paragraph into readable, logical segments and not just perform random character counts. So let's implement that one next. So I'm going to create a second file called a recursive text splitters.py. Again, I'm going to import the PyPDF loader from LangChain community. Okay, PyPDF loader. Next, I'm going to import the recursive character text splitter. So let me see that. So again, from LangChain dot text splitter import recursive character text splitter, and then I'll have a text about something called space exploration. I'm going to copy this from someplace else. So let me copy the entire text and then bring it here. Don't worry, I'll use the word wrap so that you can see what content is present in this particular text. So this is the content. I'm going to use a splitter. I won't be needing a PyPDF loader here, in fact. So let's do recursive character text splitter. I'll define a chunk size. Chunk size is going to be, let's say, 200 or maybe 100, and then chunk overlap is going to be like 10. Nothing else. What I want is to print out result by splitting this. So splitter dot split underscore text. So passing that text here, and then I'll print in the result. Okay, so let me run this, clear this and run this. Okay, so this is going, okay, so this is broken down into multiple chunks here. So the first chunk is this one. The second chunk will also include this moon 2 part and then cover the rest up until 100 characters. And you can see that it does not create, or it does not break down exactly between words, or like leaving out punctuations or something, or stuff like that. It tries to preserve the meaning of the chunk it is breaking down on, and then basically creates such type of chunks. So unlike the character text splitter, it does not break down in between the words in between the words and stuff like that. So this is a recursive character text splitter. And the recursive character splitter makes it very good for use cases like PDF, articles, or transcripts where readability and coherence matters. Okay, so now we'll moving on. We'll talk about something more specialized. So we are programmers, and then we are always focused on code, right? So we also have something for splitting the code. So when you're dealing with programming related content like Python scripts, documentation, or notebooks, normal text splitters won't cut it. That's where the Python text splitter comes in. Python code text splitter comes in. So it is built to split code into meaningful chunks, respecting functions, classes, and indentations. So in our upcoming example, we will have a Python class for a student, and like instead of breaking lines randomly, the splitter will preserve code blocks live, def or class definitions together. But like there's even a cooler trick here. So you can use the recursive text splitter from language method here. To do that, what you need to do is you need to specify a language, and then you can choose any language of your choice. LangChain automatically optimizes the splitting strategy for that particular language here. So let's see it in implementation again. Let's go to our project and then create a third one. Let's call it code splitter 3 dot code splitter dot py. Okay, so I'll only have a LangChain text splitter. So LangChain dot text splitter import I can directly use Python code splitter 2, or I can use recursive character text splitter and then use language with it. So I think the second option is more better because we are not focused on a particular language here. So for this, let's define a text. Again, I'm going to copy the text from someplace else. This is a code block or a Python code block that I have, and then I basically want to chunk this out. Okay, so this is my code, and then I basically want to chunk this out. If you want to do it using Python code text splitter, here how you do it. So Python code text splitter, I'm going to define the chunk size. So chunk size is 300. We'll define a chunk overlap. Chunk overlap, let's say, is 0. And then chunks equals to splitter dot split text. Then I'm going to write text. Let's print out chunks and then see how it breaks down the chunks here. So let me run this. So as you can see, the first chunk is broken at here. So if you see your code, the first chunk is broken exactly after the class definition is complete, and then the second chunk is focused on this particular remaining part here. So as you can see, it preserves the contextual meaning of this code without randomly breaking it in between some lines or like some specific part of the code here. So this is how it works. You can also use the recursive text splitter here. So if you want to use that, let me comment this out, and then I'll show you how you can do it using recursive character text splitter. So recursive character splitter dot from language. You can define your language here. So the language is going to come from language dot. You have a lot of languages here. Whichever you want to use. We focus on Python right now. So Python, as above, the chunk size is, let's say, 300, and then the chunk overlap is 0. So I'll print chunks. I'll print chunks equals to splitter dot split text, and then I'll provide the text here, and I'm going to print the chunks again here. So So you can even do this using recursive character text splitter, which is a great deal because in our previous code we had done it for a simple text, preserving the contextual meaning, and in this following implementation we've done it using some code for some programming language. So let me run this, and then you can see that it still preserves this class part, and then the remaining part is placed in the next chunk. Okay, so this is how we implement it here. So why all this effort just to split text? Because when we talk about real world AI applications, how you chunk and organize your data directly affects your embedding quality, your retrieval accuracy, as well as your response coherence. So if your chunks are too small, your model might lose context, and if they're too large, so you'll hit token limits and increase costs. So that's why choosing the right text splitter is the balance between efficiency as well as the context preservation. So I hope you understand the concept. I'm going to end the video now. If you have any problem, feel free to comment down below and I'll try to help you out. And I'll see you in the next video.